What is up, guys, and welcome back to another video. Today I have my top 25 after week 12. Yes, week 12, already that fast. We are coming up on the rivalry week, the best week, but also the last week of regular season college football. Man, it's really bittersweet, but I can't wait for some good games. And boy, did we have some good games this past weekend. As I'll get into my top 25. Before I get into this video, I want to say some things. One, if it sounds like I'm sick, it's because I am. It's that time of year, so just bear with me. And if you love college football, please consider subscribing to my channel. I cover college football daily. Well, let's get into it. I'll do the top 25. I'll do 25 to 14 with little to no justification. And then I'll go really in depth on my top 13. And also, I want to say my honorable mentions, the teams that just barely didn't make the cut were the Texas Longhorns, the Cincinnati Bearcats, and the Louisville Cardinals. Honorable mention to them. But starting it off at number 25, I have my hometown, South Alabama Jaguars at 9-2. This makes me so happy. South Alabama has been bad for a long time. I live like 10 minutes away from South Alabama campus. So it really warms my heart to see South Alabama doing so good. And I tried not to be biased as possible. I didn't just put them in here for the sake of putting them here. No, they deserve to be in here. And just shout out to South Alabama. Shout out to USA. Shout out to the Jags. So happy for them. But this past weekend, they beat Southern Miss 27-20. At 24, I have South Alabama's rival and the team that beat them. I have the 9-2 Troy Trojans. This past weekend, they beat LA Monroe 34-16. At number 23, I have a team that just fell off the rails, just crumbled. I have the 8-3 Ole Miss Rebels. Were just undefeated a couple weeks ago, and then LSU, Alabama, and now this past weekend, Arkansas happened. Lost to Arkansas 42-27 this past weekend. Just embarrassing. But they have a chance to redeem their season somewhat by beating Miss State in the Egg Bowl on Thursday if they can. And also, I want to say about my videos is please stay tuned. I'm doing prediction videos on Wednesday. If everything goes according to schedule, the video you're watching right now should come out on a Monday. My Heisman Watch should come out the next day on a Tuesday. And my predictions for rivalry week should come out on Wednesday. I'm doing them early this week because rivalry games start early. Miss State versus Ole Miss on Thursday, Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone, by the way. But yes, Ole Miss at 23. At 22, I have the UTSA Roadrunners at 9-2. This past weekend, they beat Rice 41-7. At 21, I have Coastal Carolina sitting at 9-1. Their game this past weekend versus Virginia was canceled, and I just want to say prayers to the University of Virginia, prayers to all the students there, and prayers to the football team, and prayers to the family of everyone that was lost. If you do not know, there was I can't say this on YouTube, I don't think, or I'm afraid to, but read between the lines, there was an accident, not an accident, but there's something really bad that happened on that campus involving some deathly costs to people's lives. I don't know how to say it any better than that. But yes, 3 football players died. So prayers to them, prayers to the family, and yes, I'm praying for everyone involved with the University of Virginia right now. But yes, at 21, I have Coastal Carolina. They'll go play James Madison this weekend. At 20, I have Notre Dame at 8-3. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish. This past weekend, they walloped Boston College 44-0. And man, I can't help myself from thinking, what happened if Notre Dame got their act together earlier in the season? Because Notre Dame's been playing amazing. They beat North Carolina. They beat Clemson. I mean, they've been playing really good football as of late. And if they could have done this earlier in the season, you could be taking Notre Dame as a top 10 team right now. But 20, Notre Dame, they have a big game, a big opportunity to move way up versus USC. Yes. Number 19, I have the Oregon State Beavers at 8-3. This past weekend, they beat Arizona State 31-7. They have a big weekend. They have a big game this weekend. One of the most underrated matchups this Saturday versus Oregon. At number 18, I have the North Carolina Tar Heels at 9-2. They finally took that fatal second loss this past weekend, not officially knocking them out of playoff contention. They lost to Georgia Tech 21-17. This upcoming weekend, they'll go play NC State, their rival. At number 17, I have Tulane at 9-2. What a year it's been for Tulane. Sitting at 9-2, they beat SMU this past weekend 59-24, and they have just an incredible chance this weekend to prove themselves as they play Cincinnati. Another just borderline top 25 team to me. Number 16, I have the Utah Utes. Utah's had a great season, even though they're 8-3. A lot of people expected them to be playoff contenders, but I still think they've had a great season. They lost to Oregon this past weekend, 17-20, which is not what you want. But let's not knock Utah too much. I think they're an incredible team. I have them at 16. This upcoming weekend, they'll go play Colorado. At number 15, I have the team that beat Utah. I have UCLA. I have UCLA at 8-3. This past weekend, they also lost. They lost to USC 45-48. USC, obviously an incredible team, and they barely lost. Credit to UCLA and Chip Kelly and DTR. This upcoming Saturday, they'll play Cal. And wrapping up this portion, at number 14, I have the Florida State Seminoles at 8-3. This past weekend, they beat Louisiana 49-17. What a win for the Seminoles. And they have big rivalry game. One of my favorites, the Sunshine Showdown versus Florida. That will be played this Friday. But let's get into my top 13. I've talked enough. At number 13, I have the Kansas State Wildcats at 8-3. My highest ranked 3-loss team, and it's for a reason. They've been playing really great this season. This past weekend, they beat West Virginia 48-31. And Kansas State, really impressive this season. Borderline top 30 in offense and defense. An amazing strength of record. And man, I thought after Adrian Martinez went down that they would lose a lot of games, they would fall off, but they haven't. Will Howard, the backup, has played amazing with Deuce Vaughn, an incredible running back. Kansas State has been playing great, and give credit to Chris Kleiman, the head coach. At number 12, I have the Oregon Ducks at 9-2. This past weekend, they beat the Utah Utes 20-17, like I mentioned a minute ago. Bo Nix has been playing great this season. Even though I hate Bo Nix, he's probably my least favorite college athlete of all time. Yes. But he has been playing great. And Oregon, top 5 offensively. Oregon has been having amazing offense this season. Dan Lanning has done amazing things his first season at Oregon. Give him credit. And they have an amazing strength of record, led by Bo Nix, obviously. Like I said, Oregon playing amazing, and they have a matchup this week versus Oregon State. Excuse me, I'm sorry. At number 11, I have the team that beat Oregon. I have Washington at 9-2. And this is something I don't understand about the AP poll. This is being recorded before the college football playoff poll comes out. But the AP poll has Oregon a few spots ahead of Washington, and I just don't get that. Washington and Oregon have the same amount of losses. They're both 9-2. But Washington just beat Oregon not last week, but the week before. Just beat them in Eugene, head-to-heads. I think head-to-heads matter, and I have Washington ahead of Oregon. This past weekend, Washington beat Colorado 54-7 in a beatdown. And this upcoming Saturday, they'll play their arch rival, Washington State. And starting off my top 10, at number 10, I have the Penn State Nittany Lions at 9-2. And Penn State quietly creeping up into this top 10. This past Saturday, they beat Rutgers 55-10. And man, Penn State's been playing great. Their offense is borderline top 30, but their defense is amazing. I would argue borderline top 10. They have a top 10 strength of record, and it's easy to see why. I mean, Penn State's really underrated in my opinion. Their only 2 losses have come to Michigan and Ohio State, 2 top 3 teams. I mean, and they were relatively close to, maybe if you look at the box score, they weren't, but if you actually watch the games like I do, you would know those games were close. Penn State led Michigan at halftime, I do believe, or at least they were tied, or it was very close. That was a few weeks ago, my bad. But they crumbled in the fourth quarter. And then Penn State versus Ohio State. Penn State was leading Ohio State with 9 minutes to go, and then Ohio State just had an incredible run with 9 minutes to go. And Penn State ended up losing by 13. But yes, 2 quality opponents to lose to. And Penn State, I think, I really like this Penn State team. I said it earlier in the season, like way earlier in week 3, I like Penn State. But yes, Penn State, Sean Clifford, maybe not the best quarterback in the country, but he is very experienced. Nick Singleton, the running back, the freshman, he's doing amazing this season. I like Parker Washington at wide receiver. Joey Porter at corner. I mean, this is just a talented Penn State team led by James Franklin, very experienced coach. I think if you put this Penn State team in the Pac-12, I think if you put this Penn State team, especially in the ACC, I think Penn State could win those conferences. I really do. I think Penn State just got the bad luck of the draw by being in the Big Ten. But yes, Penn State at 10. They'll go play at Michigan State this upcoming weekend. At number 9, I'm not being biased. I have my Alabama Crimson Tide. Roll Tide, roll. At 9-2. People would say this is a little low, but this feels right to me. This past weekend, they beat Austin Peay 34-0. And these videos I make are already too long, longer than I'd like, so I'm going to keep it to a buck. We didn't play as good as I want. Yes, that sounds spoiled, saying 34-0, not playing good enough, but it was Austin Peay, and the talent on this team is insane, and we struggled versus Austin Peay. We did. I mean, it may not look like it on the box score, but we did. It was embarrassing. One of the most embarrassing performances I've seen Alabama play. But I still love my Alabama Crimson Tide. I believe it was just, 11 a.m., very cold, in November. I can't blame them that much, but we still should have took care of business way better than this. This upcoming weekend, Alabama will play the Auburn Tigers in the Iron Bowl, the greatest rivalry in sports. Roll Tide, roll. And I'll talk more about that in my prediction video. At number 8, I have the LSU Tigers at 9-2. And yes, I have LSU above Alabama. Alabama is obviously great. They're top 15 offense, top 10 defense, top 5 strength of record, top 6 strength of schedule. And they have so many talented players led by Nick Saban. They're top 3 in the power index. I mean, Alabama's amazing. But LSU isn't no slouch either. Top 25 in offense and defense. Top 10 in strength of record. Top 15 strength of schedule. Very talented players in Jaden Daniels and Harold Perkins. Very experienced coach in Brian Kelly. LSU's not no slouch either. And LSU beat Alabama head-to-head. And that's what it came down to, putting LSU above Alabama. LSU at 8. This past weekend, they beat the University of Alabama Birmingham 41-10. Very impressive. UAB is an underrated team. They have a great rushing attack, and LSU beat them and covered the spread by a lot. This upcoming weekend, LSU will play Texas A&M. Texas A&M not having the greatest of seasons, obviously, but you still going to Kyle Field is never an easy place to play, and LSU and Texas A&M have combined for some great matchups these past few years. At number 7, oh boy, I've been waiting to talk about this. I have the Tennessee Volunteers at 9-2. This past weekend, they got obliterated. They got demolished. They got crucified by the South Carolina Gamecocks, 38-63. I was preying on Tennessee's downfall. I hate Tennessee. I cannot express that enough. If you watch my channel, you'll know that you probably get tired of hearing that because I say it just about every time Tennessee's brought up. I hate Tennessee. And this was before the loss. I just always hate Tennessee. And it puts a smile on my face to see them lose. And I know the Tennessee fans will come at me saying, oh, but still, we beat y'all. We beat y'all. I don't care. The best Tennessee team in the last 25 years and the worst Alabama team in the past 15 years, and you barely beat us on a miracle. And guess what? Come playoff time, come SEC championship time, we'll be in the same place on the couch. So all that just to miss the playoffs and the SEC championship and have the same record as us. Man. Although I do want to say real quick, prayers to Hendon Hooker. Obviously not my favorite athlete in the world, but he tore his ACL. He's out for the season, and what an incredible season he had. I mean, as much as I don't want to give credit to him, you got to. He has played incredible, and he's made people care about Tennessee football for the first time in a long time. But yes, Tennessee at 7, and this is another thing I want to talk about. Tennessee, in the AP poll, LSU is above Tennessee by 4 spots. That I do not understand in the slightest. Tennessee, LSU, same amount of losses, both 9-2. You know, with LSU, Alabama, I think Alabama wins that game on a neutral site field 75 out of 100 times. You know, because it was very close. LSU won last point conversion. I could see Alabama above LSU, even with the head-to-head. Tennessee, LSU above Tennessee? No. Tennessee went into LSU, went into Death Valley, and obliterated LSU. They won 40-13. They absolutely crushed LSU head-to-head in Death Valley. With the same amount of losses, I feel you have to put Tennessee above LSU, in my opinion. Because Tennessee, this upcoming weekend, they'll play Vanderbilt in a game that many people should not overlook. Tennessee having some struggles. They're going to be without Hendon Hooker, and Vanderbilt is red hot. They beat Florida this past weekend, and they beat Kentucky the week before. Vanderbilt's red hot. Clark Lee is doing amazing things. Watch out for the Commodores. At number 6, I have the Clemson Tigers at 10-1. This past weekend, they beat Miami 40-10. Nothing to say there. Miami has been absolute trash this year. One of the biggest shockers of the season to me is Miami doing so bad. I mean, just terrible. But yes, Clemson, only one loss, and that was to a very good Notre Dame team. Now, it was a blowout. That's the only thing really hurting Clemson right now. It's not the fact they lost to Notre Dame. No. It's the fact they lost to Notre Dame, and they got blown out by Notre Dame. But yes, 10-1. They still only have one loss. In this upcoming weekend, they have a really good chance to strengthen their schedule as they go play South Carolina, who is obviously red hot this year, these past few weeks. Starting off my top 5, at number 5, I have USC at 10-1. This past weekend, they beat UCLA 48-45. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. They beat UCLA 48-45. USC, yes, Caleb Williams is playing amazing. Watch tomorrow. He's going to shoot up in my Heisman ranks. Yes, Caleb Williams is playing outstanding. Lincoln Riley has these boys playing right. And USC has responded to controversy or adversity. My bad. They have responded to adversity. Travis Dye, the running back, out for the season. Jordan Addison finally came back, but he was injured for a long time. And USC kept winning. This team has really impressed me. This upcoming Saturday, they'll play Notre Dame in a very interesting matchup. At number 4, I have the Michigan Wolverines, 11-0, undefeated. Yes, This past weekend, they beat Illinois 19-17. A lot of people are harping them for playing too close to Illinois, but Illinois is underrated to me. They have an incredible defense. Chase Brown's amazing, and Illinois is underrated to me. I knew this would be a low-scoring, close game. I'm not punished. Michigan's not at 4 for that. Most people have Michigan at 3. Michigan's not at 4 for that. It's just the fact the team ahead of them, I mean, just on paper is just better, in my opinion. But nothing to take away from Michigan. Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards is an insane running back duo. And Jim Harbaugh is a great coach. Michigan at 4, as this upcoming weekend, they have the game of the year versus Ohio State. Dare I say it? But yes, Michigan at 4. At number 3, I have the TCU Horned Frogs, 11-0. Yes, I have TCU above Michigan. TCU also struggled this weekend. Last second, and I literally do mean last second, no timeouts, field goal to beat Baylor 29-28. But TCU, look at it. TCU, top 10 offense. TCU has the number 1 strength of record in the country. And take a look at strength of schedule. I mean, TCU has twice the strength of schedule Michigan does. I mean, it's not even close. And so I just have to put TCU above Michigan. And people keep doubting TCU. They shouldn't. Max Duggan and Quentin Johnson are playing amazing. And then the top 2 should be unanimous, in my opinion. At number 2, I have Ohio State undefeated. A little bit of a scare versus Maryland. And some people are moving them down for that. Not me. Another one that I kind of predicted. I should have went with my gut and made it even closer than I did. But yes, I took Ohio State to not cover, and that was right. Maryland's very good. Watch out for Maryland next year. Next year, I think Maryland's going to become a Big Ten contender next year. You heard it here first. But yes, the score is much closer than the game than it says. Ohio State scored on like the last play. This is really like a 6-point game as both sides played amazing. But Ohio State, insanely good. C.J. Stroud. I mean, just look at their team. Look at their playmakers. C.J. Stroud, Marvin Harrison, Travion Henderson, Minion Williams, E. Egbuka. Just Ohio State's incredible this season. And they're at number 2 as they go play Michigan this upcoming weekend. And number 1, they've been my number 1 all year long, and for good reason. It is the Georgia Bulldogs. My rule is that the national champion stays number 1 until they lose. And even if you don't follow that rule, you put Georgia number 1. They have looked incredible, beating down on Tennessee. Now, this past weekend, they did look shaky versus Kentucky, 16-6, much closer than I thought it was going to be. But, November, cold. I'll give them a little bit of a slide. This upcoming weekend, they'll play Georgia Tech in good old-fashioned hate. But yes, Georgia number 1, as Georgia's just incredible this season. You got to give credit to Kirby Smart for just doing amazing things at Georgia. But thank you for watching. This was my top 25. What do you think of it? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and thank you for watching. Peace.